So the World Food Programme launched an emergency operation to provide food assistance for people fleeing the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, food security, it has become one of the main issues of concern. Now, to unpack this, we're now joined via Zoom by Tomson Phiri, who is the Senior International Spokesperson for the United Nations World Food Programme. He is coming to us live from Poland. Mr. Phiri, pleasure having you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
The situation on the ground. Talk to us about the extent of the World Food Programme's assistance for people fleeing the conflict, both within the country and in neighboring ones.
Look, if you had spoken to Ukrainians a month ago and asked them what they were most worried about, I bet food would not be the least of their concerns. This is a country of 40 million people that feeds 400 million worldwide and easily Europe's breadbasket. 1 month into this conflict, almost half the people in Ukraine say they are worried about finding enough food to eat. Along with safety and fuel for transportation, food is now one of the top 3 concerns. The World Food Programme is estimating that 1 out of 5 people in Ukraine are already using some kind of food coping strategy. I flew in yesterday. I am 300 kilometers from the border with Ukraine, but I've already come face to face with it. My taxi driver, Maria, fled Ukraine 3 weeks ago with her six-year-old daughter. She said for the very first time in her 28 years, she has had to worry about food. Approximately 6.5 million people are now internally displaced and 3.5 million have left the country. It is a huge challenge for the World Food Programme and partners to be able to provide assistance and assistance that actually meet people's requirements at this point.
No doubt, ripple effects of this conflict is being felt across industries, across countries. And as we know, as you pointed out, the Black Sea Basin is one of the world's most important areas for grain and agriculture production. What sort of impact, in particular, is it having on Africa's food security situation?
The impact is going to be very dire. We are already seeing signs of what we are calling a collateral hunger, particularly in North Africa. Countries like Tunisia, they import well over 40% of their wheat from Ukraine. Ukraine, as well as the Russian Federation, are 2 of the biggest global wheat producers and exporters on the markets. What we are seeing already is an increase in commodity prices. And as we are unable to bring in food from Ukraine as well as from the Russian Federation, we expect an increase in prices, meat products, bread, wheat-based products. So this is going to affect people, particularly people that the World Food Programme assists, who are already facing massive challenges as a result of conflicts in some of the areas where they live, COVID-19, economic challenges, among many other factors.
I was just listening to the US President yesterday, Joe Biden, in Poland, mentioning the word World Food Programme and saying it's, despite the significant obstacles, you're getting some relief to some of the major cities, but not Mariupol. Why?
The World Food Programme did not have operational presence in Ukraine until a few weeks ago. This is very much a ship we are building while sailing. We have provided food assistance to 760,000 people so far. We are ramping up to 1.2 million people by the end of the week, eventually reaching 2.4 million people in a month. However, we are struggling to reach besieged cities that have been encircled by forces, such as where you have to go with a humanitarian convoy. But since it has been encircled on 24th of February, the only way to reach is through a humanitarian convoy, which until now has not made it through.
What lessons, Mr. Phiri, can be learned from this crisis with regards to food systems?
I think if there's a lesson from this, and again, I think the same lesson from COVID-19 is that, this conflict has highlighted the risk of a highly concentrated agricultural export market. The world's exports and reserves of primary agricultural commodities remain concentrated in a few places, leaving us vulnerable to mega price shocks. For example, 86% of all wheat exports come from only 7 exporters, and just 3 countries held 68% of global wheat reserves. We need diversification, be it with medicaments, medicines, food production, vaccines, as well as more local production, so that we are able to sustain the world's needs in times of crisis.
Right. What about humanitarians? What sort of challenges are they facing?
The biggest challenge we are facing is lack of access to conflict-hit areas and a lack of humanitarian partners on the ground. I think these are the biggest obstacles to providing life-saving assistance to families inside Ukraine. We are extremely concerned with those families who are living in these embattled areas. We will continue to appeal for access to parties to the conflict, so that we are able to get in and assist civilians as soon as we can.
Yeah, I just want to get a sense of democracies or those who want to help in Ukraine and how united they are. US President Joe Biden, he was in Poland, and after this meeting with NATO and the G7, saying that they must keep democracies united in an effort to curtail the devastation. Are you getting a sense of a united front from the work that the World Food Programme is doing on the ground?
From our part, I think most democracies have been very supportive. They know what we are able to do when we get access. Just 4 weeks ago, we were not present here. We are here. We are already in operation that is 150 humanitarian workers strong. We have been able to scale up, ramp up operations, and reach close to 1 million people within a very short space of time. I think democracies, international donors, high net worth individuals, they have come through for us in helping us step up, in helping us start the operation. We are going to need more help to sustain this. We are going to need them to dig deeper into their pockets, to provide resources, so that we are able to continue to reach people in need.
Sir, thank you very much indeed for coming on. Valuable insight, a plus for the audience, definitely. Tomson Phiri, appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.